that isn't really into sports that much, so it was like kind of nice because if he had, if he hadn't been over here and I was just sitting there by myself watching it, I'm sure I would have been kind of going crazy there for a little bit when Notre Dame started to come back in the third quarter and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I know. But they pulled away with it, dude. You're the Ohio State fan. I'm sure you wish they would have played like they did all year, like they did
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
yeah, exactly. But I think the Michigan loss kind of helped, fuel us a little bit and
I think so too. Yeah.
pointed out some gaps in our defense and whatnot.
Yeah, what did Jim Knowles, he took the same job at Penn State for like $3.1 million or something.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
yeah,
like
he's. I mean, I
what the
get it.
fuck?
It's like $800,000 a year more, but I, I still don't know if that's. I don't know if that's going to help Penn State win a national championship. I don't know how lights out. I didn't watch every Ohio State game this year, so I don't know how lights out their defense was. But I mean, seemed like they played well when it mattered.
Yeah, like
Other
we
than
just won a national championship. Why are you leaving?
Yeah, I know. But hey, he got what he
Like
got that
let's try
ring.
to do
So,
let's try to do it again.
but it's also one of those things like
Yeah,
Tom
that's
Allen. I mean, Tom Allen was the defensive coordinator this year, and I always thought he was a good defensive coordinator, and they didn't get the job done with him. So I don't know. Maybe Jim Knowles will be all right. You just never know, I guess.
yeah. Well, then Chip Kelly's like interviewing for positions in the NFL now too, and it's like, God damn
Yeah,
it,
yeah. I
we'll
mean,
lose our offense and defensive coordinator after winning a national championship. What the hell's going on?
yeah, it ain't like the old days, dude. I mean, granted, the old days, like I'm thinking of the '90s Huskers, where coordinators only got
Oh
paid
yeah,
100. They only got paid 100,000 a year, and nobody usually.
yeah,
The coordinators didn't get paid shit back then, so it's really not that. Yeah, it's not the same as it used to be, where coordinators are now fucking millionaires and shit. And you know that happens too. Like after a national championship run, they're gonna start poaching coaches and shit,
yeah.
especially if
I mean, it
it's
makes
the
sense, and
NFL. Yeah,
like you said, it's like, all right, they got their national championship. Try to go somewhere else and win there, I guess. Like new challenges, new goals, whatnot. But
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
fuck. Yeah,
uh,
that's right. That's your answer to everything. Fuck it.
yeah. Fuck it. Oh, is today Wednesday?
What day? What day is it?
Oh shit. Well, dude, I'm recording. If you want to do the introduction.
Oh yeah, definitely. Welcome to the podcast. Another week of debating and ranking movies. As always, my name is Jaren, along with my good friend here, Zach. Zach, say hello.
Hello.
And for those not familiar with the pod, this is Zach and I's podcast where we spend about an hour or so of our lives each week discussing, debating, and ultimately ranking movies of a particular category. We are not professional critics. We don't claim to be the smartest moviegoers. We are just two friends who grew up together and love talking about movies, which makes us just a couple average jives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, I
Intro
actually have a.
music.
Yeah,
Intro music.
yeah. Oh, that'll get sorted out later on once I figure all this crap out. Yeah, I'm for those listening. I'm a new producer. I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's put it that way. But
None of us do in life, right? That's how we
that's
got to
true.
where we are.
Just kind of got to wing it, I guess, sometimes. But I do have an opening statement, and
Oh, okay.
this goes back to the text you sent on Sunday. I'm not trying to put like words in your mouth to predict what you were going to say, but this is what I have kind of noted down before we start to go into the movie specs. I just wanted to mention before we start our selections that the ones that are featured on my list may not be the traditional action movies. Now, a part of that reason may be because, honestly, the action genre is one of my least favorite genres, which we talked about last week. Trying to sneak some of those movies that might fall under the adventure category, crime, sci-fi, and even war into this and into this episode because I'm not sure if we'll even get to those later on down the road. So I wanted to try to put it in there because I'm not a fan of the action genres.
Yeah, no, I was
Unrealistic.
also
Yeah.
I,
And
I was also going to preface the pod with, going in this week we are ranking our favorite and best action movies. And then it is important to note that Zach and I are not the greatest action movie fans.
yeah.
Not taken away from anybody who loves action movies. Sometimes I just want to stop and I just want to watch nonstop killing and fighting and punching and shooting. But I
Yeah.
think Zach and I both kind of appreciate more of a storyline and character building a little more than just nonstop action flicks. So, yeah, definitely preface that. And for those who may or may not reach out to us and have their own thoughts and ideas of why isn't Rambo on here? Why isn't this and that? It's our
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
pod, okay? We pick the movies. And yeah, we like to talk about movies that we enjoy. So, although some of these movies may not be on everyone's action list, these are the ones that we picked, and this is the ones that we're going to talk about.
Yes. When you said definitely, I was like definitely 20, definitely 20. Freaking Rain Man.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, shit, man. Do you want
So
to?
yeah, without further ado, welcome back to the pod. For those who have listened to the other ones, we're gonna dive right in here. And for those who have not listened to any of these, the format kind of runs. We have each picked 5 movies. Last week, we let each other know what those 5 movies were. We're ultimately going to create and solidify a top 10 between those movies. And first, we will kind of introduce each movie that we picked, and then jump right into the debate and ranking of them.
Well, shit, man. Do you want to go first? Want to introduce your first one?
Yeah,
And
first on
remember,
my list.
just these aren't numerical order. These aren't like as we're going through our list. This isn't like the one that Jaren's about to introduce isn't his number 1 or his number 5. We're going either alphabetical or chronological order. So I just
Well, and
wanted
I
to
just did
clarify
mine
that.
randomly. So
Oh, there we go. That's shit. Even better. I like that. Do it.
it was just whichever one I remembered to write on the next page that I took notes on. So
I like that better. Okay, yeah, that's
first,
good.
first and foremost, one of the movies I picked was Mission Impossible. The first edition of the series came out in 1996. It was directed by one of Zach's favorite directors, Brian De Palma, based on
Oh yeah.
a television series that actually ran from 1966, 1973. It was kind of bounced around in Hollywood for a good 15, 20 years that, hey, this would make a good movie. And then finally, Tom Cruise and one of his other longtime producers said, hey, we're going to make it happen. So, written by David Koepp, who also did the screenplay for Jurassic Park, um, Jurassic Park 2, Snake Eyes, Panic Room. It is starring Tom Cruise, John Voight, Ving Rhames, Jean Reno,
Mm-hmm.
and Emmanuel Berard. A little bit of synopsis for those who don't know the movie. An American covert ops agent or American covert ops mission goes awry during Ethan Hunt's search. Fuck, we're going to have to edit that out. An American covert ops goes awry during a mission that leads Ethan Hunt into a search for the actual mole within the CIA. Roger Ebert gave this movie 3 stars, and it ultimately launched a franchise that now sits at 8 movies, and it really solidified Tom Cruise as one of the next big action superstars.
Yeah.
It
Was
has
it
one of
eight?
the most iconic scenes in an action movie that has Tom Cruise suspended over a floor that he can't touch in a room that has volume decibels ready to set off an alarm. So it's quite the entertaining movie.
Did you say 8 or 18? I.
Yeah, eight for now, and probably on its way to 18.
What did
Tom
Raj
Cruise does
think of?
not age, so
No. Yeah, I don't know. He didn't look too great the last picture I saw him in, but what did Raj have to say about Mission Impossible?
I mean, he was glowing about it. He appreciated all of the special effects and kind of nonstop action. There aren't a lot of lulls in the movie. Just kind of go go go, and the masks and the very first scene kind of delves you in, and you don't know what's going on. But the reason he brought it down a star is he just said the plot too convoluted, too much going on. Didn't really know what was really happening, what the mission was. And I'll say, yeah, I haven't seen it in years, and watching it, I knew kind of what the end goal was, but
Hmm.
there's a lot happening in a short amount of time, and there's not really a ton of exposition going on in the movie. It's kind of a hold on to the arm of your chair and just kind of watch
Hmm.
movie. So he
Yep.
said he
Yep.
was happy to put his brain on hold because he was entertained.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
Classic
I
Rod, kind of a backhanded fucking pat on the back.
yeah, and I've only seen oh god, I think I've only seen three out of the out of the rest of the Mission Impossibles, but I did enjoy this one probably the most, I'd say. But
Yeah, I agree. I think I've only seen the first three, and when I think of Mission Impossible, I think of the second one where he's like climbing on the rock and he goes one
mhm,
armed. And he's got the long hair, and then obviously number one kind of just takes over. When I think Mission Impossible, I think Mission Impossible One.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it didn't get great reviews, but I do enjoy Mission Impossible 2. I'm not gonna lie, might be a bad take. A lot of people think it's one of the worst ones, but I'm gonna admit I enjoyed it quite a bit. But
Yeah, it's fun.
anyways, yeah, all these movies are fun. So, but here is one of my movies, Black Hawk Down. Came out back in 2001, directed by Ridley Scott, who was coming off his critically and commercially successful Gladiator. It was based on the book of the same title by Mark Bowden, who also wrote the bestseller Killing Pablo, and the screenplay was written by Ken Nolan, whose I'd say his most recent big sell was Only the Brave, which I haven't seen yet, but it's got a decent list of A-list actors, or not necessarily A-list, but well-known actors. It's starring Josh Hartnett, Ewan McGregor, Tom Sizemore, Eric Bana, William Fichtner, and Sam Shepard. Yeah. There's.
Yeah,
I mean, this had a pretty solid cast, and little synopsis how similar to Jaren, but mine aren't as detailed. But I'll go into this one as in Somalia in 1993, a group of elite American special forces set out to find the capital warlord's trusted advisors. Once the Mogadishu militias shoot down the U.S. Black Hawk helicopter, it turns into a battle between the troops and the city. A little positive review from Empire Magazine claimed Black Hawk Down is a rare find of a war movie which dares to turn the genre convention on its head. Now, I thought that was the best one I
fair,
could find. Yeah.
fair. Yeah, and I think this one kind of falls into what you're talking about before we kind of dove in. It could easily fall into kind of a military or war category as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. I was tempted to pick another one, but just as I was thinking of some of the best war movies, I was like, oh, I don't know if this would be on the list. But I was like, and we've talked about it before. It's okay if we cover movies more than once or even once a season. This was one of the movies that I just wanted to put on the list, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be some overlapping in some of the categories for sure, just because some movies deserve to be recognized on multiple different fronts. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, brother, take it away.
next on the list, I chose the action-packed movie Speed. Came out in 1994. The directorial debut, I believe, of Jan de Bont,
Yeah, sounds
who
about right.
also later did Twister, but is more known as a cinematographer, director of photography, movies like Cujo, All the Right Moves, Hunt for Red October, Basic Instinct, and Lethal Weapon 3, actually.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Written by a guy named Graham Yost, who is kind of an unknown. He went on to do Broken Arrow, Speed 2, Hard Rain, and Mission to Mars. This movie stars Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, Joe Morton, who will come up later in this pod as well, Jeff Daniels, and Alan Ruck, who most people would know as Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, that was the first thing I said when I saw it. I was like, "Oh shit, it's Cameron from Ferris
Hey, it's
Bueller."
Cameron. He's just kind of playing a Gomer.
Yeah.
Synopsis of the movie. LA officer Jack Traven foils a bomber's plan for ransom and is tested again when the bomber rigs a bus to explode if it goes under 50 miles per hour. The movie was actually won 2 Oscars for Best Sound and Best Effects that year. It propelled Sandra Bullock into pretty much female actress stardom, and it's kind of be basically described as Die Hard on a bus.
Yeah, yeah.
Roger Ebert gave this movie 4 stars, which I was kind of surprised.
Nice, dude. That's good.
Especially
Dude.
with
Nice.
the giant plot hole of one, do buses get above 50 miles an hour in LA? And two, there are several times in the movie where the bus is clearly not going 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, he just action packed. He describes it as a forearm bruiser movie, which is something that he brought up a lot in his reviews. And it's just when you're watching the movie with someone and you're constantly grabbing their forearm because something exciting is going on screen. Yeah, 4 stars from him, and it kind of caught Keanu Reeves in an interesting point of his life. How one of his best friends, River Phoenix, had just passed away, and he kind of played a more subdued role. And Jan de Bont thought that was a perfect opportunity for him to play this hero instead of just kind of the normal action heroes that don't talk much and have one-liners. He's got a lot of emotion going on behind the eyes in this movie, and I think
Yeah,
the passing of his good friend kind of probably played into that.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, good old River Phoenix. Rest in peace. Next on my list
Yeah,
is
what could have been, right?
yeah, I know, right, right. All right, next on my list I have The French Connection out of 1971, directed by William Friedkin, whose next project would go on to be the scariest movie ever made, The Exorcist, based on the book by Robin Moore, which was based on an actual investigation, which was adapted to the screen by Ernest Tideman. It stars the great Gene Hackman, who's just celebrated a birthday today, and Fernando Rey, Roy Scheider, and Tony uh, Lobianco. Yeah, I think I got that right. Anyway, the film is based on Eddie Popeye Egan's and Sonny Cloudy Grasso's investigation of the French heroin smugglers. Egan and Grasso's names were changed to Doyle and Russo for the film. LA film critic Charles Chaplin called the film every bit as entertaining as Bullet, a slam bang, suspenseful, plain spoken, funny, furiously paced melodrama. But because it has dropped the romance and starry glamour of Steve McQueen and added a strong sociological concern, the French Connection is even more interesting, thought provoking, and riveting. And that's all I got.
Probably add to that. Arguably one of the best chase scenes in movie history. Definitely at the time it was considered.
Yeah, it was. It definitely pioneered the car chasing, or just car chases as we know it after that. And plus, Friedkin shot in the documentary style, which that wasn't very common back then, but which has now turned into a common thing.
Yeah, pretty exciting movie. A great cop. I think suspenseful is definitely needed in that synopsis of the movie because you don't know what's going to happen and you're just kind of along for the ride the entire time.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Yeah, it's like I was telling you. I mean, the cops and the good guys and bad guys are usually in the same scene together, and that always makes it a little more intense. Makes every scene a little more intense, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of cat and mouse going on in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on, my next movie, Die Hard,
Nice.
released in 1988. directed by one of the best, John McTiernan, who also did Predator, Hunt for Red October, one of my favorites,
Hmm.
Last Action Hero, and Die Hard 3. Written by two different men. One, Jeb Stewart, who famously worked on, again, one of my favorites, The Fugitive, and
Hmm.
Steven D'Souza, who has a long list of movie writing credits, including 48 Hours, Commando, Running Man, Die Hard 2, and then spent a lot of time in the early 60s and 70s writing TV episodes,
Oh, okay.
including $6 Million Man, Knight Rider, Hardy Boys, Bionic Woman, and The Gemini Man.
Oh, cool.
So,
Nice.
yeah, he definitely knows how to write entertaining action sequences. Something I was not aware of before kind of reading into this movie was it was actually based on a novel called Nothing Lasts Forever, written by Roderick Thorpe,
Hmm.
starring Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, Bonnie Bedelia, Paul Gleason, and Reginald Val Johnson. It is a movie about a New York police officer who travels to LA to see his wife and ends up entangled in a terrorist hostage plot at the Nakatomi Plaza. Couple of Oscar nominations for this movie: sound, visual effects, sound effects, and film editing, although did not walk away with a W.
It's all right. I know that this. No, go ahead, buddy.
Something very surprising to me, Roger Ebert, 2 stars.
What?
Yeah,
Dude.
very surprising. I thought this would have been an easy 4 star from my man Raj.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he really loved the movie. He had nothing but great things to say. And then about 3 quarters of the way, he said the deputy chief has one purpose in the movie: to be wrong and at every step of the way and provide phony counterpoints to Willis's character. The deputy chief, played by famous asshole Paul Gleason. Famous movie asshole. I don't know what he's like in real life.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
said that that character just kind of derailed it all for him. And every time he was on screen, whatever he said, it was going to be proven wrong shortly after. And it was just kind of a nonsense character in the movie, which I didn't feel that rewatching the movie. I could kind of see where he's coming from, but damn, what a movie! It's launched an entire new kind of action star, the Everyman, who
Yep.
wasn't superhuman like. He's not the typical Stallone, Schwarzenegger, where he just keeps on coming and doesn't ever seem to get hurt. Half this movie he's limping around because he's got glass in his feet.
Yeah, yeah.
And then kind of launched a new genre that bounced around Hollywood for years and years to come with the tagline "Die Hard on a dot dot dot," and which I
Yeah.
already mentioned about speed. Just in writer rooms in Hollywood, it was, oh, this is going to be Die Hard on a plane. This is going to be Die Hard on
Yeah.
a bus. This is going to be Die Hard on a submarine. So it kind of launched a whole new genre of action movies.
Well, and I know that this film is often used as like a screenwriter's guide. I mean, it's considered one of the
Right.
best constructed screenplays, at least for the action genre, but I would say any genre really.
Yeah, and Alan Rickman, just who's been mentioned on this podcast already, not this
Hmm.
pod, but a previous pod, just coming in hot and just almost every line he just soaks it up, and anything that comes out of his mouth is just so entertaining. He plays such a wonderful villain, and I think movies and especially action movies are trying to recreate that villain time and time again, and just always falls short.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, dude, yeah, his performance is as good, if not better, than Willis's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, all right, buddy. All right, next on my list is Mad Max Fury Road from 2015, written and directed by the series director George Miller after I wrote down 20, but I think it's actually a 30-year hiatus from the Mad Max series. It's starring Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, and Nick Holt. The Mad Max saga continues as the loner Max helps refugees in this post apocalyptic wasteland. a renegade driver trying to free and protect the chosen women of this psychopathic tyrant. Yeah, this. I know a lot of people consider this one of the best action movies of the 21st century. I don't. I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't know how you felt about it this next go around. This isn't the first time you've seen it, is it?
Actually, it was the first time I'd ever
Oh,
seen
it
it,
was.
and
Okay.
yeah, and we will dive into that movie. I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay. I didn't know for sure if you had seen any of the other Mad Max movies.
I have not. I do remember in high school you were all about Mel Gibson and his role as
Yeah.
Mad Max in the original three, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Doing some research for the movie that Immortan Joe, or however they pronounce it, Immortan Joe,
Hmm.
is the original bad guy from the original Mad Max.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of a
The
kind of a callback, although you don't get to see his face the entire movie.
yeah. No, it's yeah. The first two were awesome. The original Mad Max and then the Road Warrior, which we'll discuss the Road Warrior in another pod down the road, I'm sure. But
Yeah, Thunderdome doesn't even need to be mentioned.
no, I don't. And I honestly, I know I watched it, but I don't remember much of it. All I know is that God, I think Tina Turner's in it. I think, but anyways, here's a quick review from the Kansas City Star. A mind-boggling exercise in pure action, Mad Max Fury Road is overwhelming, achieving the sort of visual poetry typically ascribed to Ben-Hur's Cherry Race or one of Sam Peckinpah's Blood Ballets. That's from Robert Butler of the Kansas City Star. But yeah, I remember walking away from this movie in the theater like blown away by it. I thought it was great, but I honestly never rewatched it. This is only the second time I've seen it. I don't know why I didn't, other than maybe
Hmm.
it's just I'm just not an action movie fan, dude. I don't know. I try to move on to something else, I
Yeah,
guess. I don't know, but
no, I agree, and that's part of the reason I didn't watch the originals. I don't think I've seen any of them. Just not my type of flick. I'm sure it is action packed, and I'm sure there's a lot of killing, and it's go go go. And for movie lovers of that sort of genre, I'm sure it's in their upper echelon of the great action movies. Just not my type. And yeah, we'll get into that when we get into the rankings.
yeah. Yep, yep.
All right, number four for me, Born Identity, released in 2002, directed by Doug Liman, something like that.
Lehman.
Who also did. He was actually the director of Swingers, which I thought was pretty interesting. This is a complete 180 from the movie Swingers. He did Go, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Edge of Tomorrow, which a Tom Cruise movie. Written by Tony Gilroy, famously writer on The Devil's Advocate, Armageddon, Proof of Life, Born Supremacy, and Ultimatum. Michael Clayton, one of my favorites, State of Play, and then the Rogue One Star Wars movie, which I kind of thought was pretty interesting. Now, um, kind of seems like a left turn compared to some of the other movies he's done.
Hmm.
Um, Born Identity completely shut out of the Oscars in 2002. No noms, no wins, no mentions of any kind. This movie stars Matt Damon as the titular character Jason Bourne, Franca Potente, Chris Cooper, Clive Owen briefly, and Brian Cox. Roger Ebert gave this one 3 stars. Said the
Nice.
movie is unnecessary but not unskilled.
Oh,
Similar to some
Roger.
of his other action movie reviews, just he's a big plot guy. He's a big character
Hmm.
building guy. Similar to you and I. He thought it was a fun movie. Just didn't really care about the characters much, and the plot had a lot of holes in it. And it's each thing that kind of happened was just to move the movie along so another action scene could take place. And kind of interesting. It was noted in a couple of things I read that the car chase scene that he goes on with Franca Potete is kind of an homage to the French Connection.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's pretty typical for most car chases. Try to
Right.
steal from French
Yeah.
Connection, but
I mean, it started it, so it was kind of yeah. Anybody who wanted to do a chase scene in a movie, it's like you got to watch French Connection, and we'll go from there.
mm, yeah, because I know.
Synopsis of the movie: Jason Bourne wakes up in the middle of the ocean on a fishing boat, having no recollection of his past or who he is. He must use his assassin-like skill set to avoid being killed and find out who he really is and where he is coming from. This is a movie that started a franchise
Mhm.
of 5 movies and one without Matt Damon, but he starred in 4 of the other ones. And also important to note, this movie, the producers actually approached Tom Cruise first to be the star of it,
Oh no
and he
shit.
said, "No, thank you. I am already Ethan Hunt in
Yeah,
another franchise." So I think that would have been pretty interesting had Cruise tried to do 2 different action
two different.
franchises
Yeah,
and be yeah. So kind of funny there, but yeah, Jason. I mean, Born Identity, and I think you texted me about it after I sent you the list that you kind of forgot how entertaining it was.
yeah. I don't even remember when I saw it. I want to say I saw it when it first came out, and again, similar to most action movies, other than a handful on my list, I just didn't revisit it. And it's not that they're not rewatchable, because they are rewatchable. They're really entertaining. Yeah, I just move on to something else. So,
Yeah,
but I did really enjoy that movie. That was a good movie. But
not
don't
a
be
lot of dialogue,
surprised.
like a ton
No,
of action
no.
movies.
Just
Hmm.
don't be surprised where it's out on my list. There's a compromise. We can talk about it. It's all right. Don't freak
Oh,
out. So
I have a feeling this is going to be a big compromise ranking.
yeah,
I
it
think
takes us like
maybe
10 minutes to rank.
I think maybe our top 3 is going to be pretty similar, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think we're going to have a lot to discuss when we get down and dirty into it.
yeah.
What is your next movie, sir?
All right. I got Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Boom.
1981, directed by the great Steven Spielberg. Story from the Star Wars creator George Lucas, who before Raiders of the Lost Ark had already had Star Wars: A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back had come out already, and they were both huge hits. And that doesn't even include his hit American Graffiti, which I know you're not a huge fan of, but I still love that movie.
I need to revisit it.
Yeah, because didn't
Watched
you
it on
say
a
you?
plane flight to
Yeah,
Alaska. So
yeah, with a crying baby next to you. Yeah, yeah. I'm just kidding.
yeah, not the best, not the best setting to watch a movie that is important to one of your good friends, but
It's all right. It's all right. Lawrence
yeah, more
Kasdan.
graffiti. That was a good one.
Yeah, yeah. I I don't think I I never got the courage to watch that one. I've
No,
only heard bad things about it. So,
frowned
but
upon by a lot of critics.
yeah. Um, but Lawrence Kasdan wrote the screenplay for Raiders of the Lost Ark, who had also wrote the screenplay Empire Strikes Back. So the Kasdan and Lucas reteamed for this one, which Kasdan has some decent writer director credits, which include The Big Chill, Body Heat, and Wyatt Earp. You were you a big fan of Wyatt Earp?
I was more of
The Tombstone.
more of a Tombstone fan. I remember I have seen Wyatt Earp, but I was more on the side of the Tombstone.
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
Kevin Costner trying to create his epic westerns, and he just kept trying and trying and trying. And I don't remember a lot of the movies. That's probably one I would have to revisit as well.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've seen it actually. I'm gonna go ahead and say I
Mm.
haven't seen Wyatt Earp. I've seen The Big Chill, and I saw it not that long ago either. It's okay. I know that's a movie I think our parents like a lot is The Big Chill, but
I was just gonna say I think that was more popular and more beloved by the generation before us.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But it's Raiders of the Lost Ark is starring Harrison Ford, Karen Allen, Paul Freeman, and John Rhys Davies. I wrote down a pretty straightforward synopsis. Archaeologist Indiana Jones goes off in search of the uh, lost Ark of the Covenant. Pretty simple.
Yeah, simple synopsis, but action-packed movie.
Dude, I don't know. Were we friends at the time when I was like freaking obsessed with this movie, like 13, 14? I don't know when we became really good friends. Was it?
Yeah, we definitely weren't discussing movies at that time, but
Yeah,
I
we
think I
weren't
was too
getting
busy getting high.
we weren't getting split up in trigonometry either.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
we
Like
we had
that's
we'd
when our
gotten
friendship
past
blossomed.
going to baseball games and freaking getting separated in math class.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, this was, dude, this was everything to me, and I know there's a huge following to this movie. It's
definitely.
considered by some as one of the greatest movies of all time. Even I think Steven Soderbergh did this. He did a version of it where he made it black and white and he took out the music just to prove how good of a storyteller Spielberg is. Obviously, I haven't seen it. I don't even know if you can find it anywhere, but it was just it was kind of showing everybody how great this movie is, even without the music and everything. So, but the National Board of Review critics, Vincent Canby, listed this as one of the 10 best films of the year, 1981. Canby labeled the film as an instant classic and one of the most humorous and stylish American films ever made. He described it as having refined the old serial films into their most perfect form for a modern audience.
Yeah, I think it. I obviously wasn't alive back in '81. It's just things that I've read, reviews I've read, done research about the movie after rewatching it. It really launched the new generation of action films. Um, it was kind of the gold standard moving forward after that. That hey, if you want something that's just going to be entertaining for the whole family, Raiders of the Lost Ark is what you need to model your movie after.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Love that movie, dude. Because I mean, when I
Yeah,
was doing when I was doing my notes for it, I wrote a whole page of notes nonstop. I just couldn't stop writing, and I was like, oh shit, I'm missing the movie. But I'd seen it like 100 times, so
well,
practically
and
knew the movie
I
by
don't
heart.
think I don't think I had watched it since I was in high school. I was just a teenager, and being told, "Hey, Raiders and Indiana Jones, such a big movie." I don't think I have watched it since then, and I got to say, I mean, entertaining. As we're as I'm going through the movie, I'm writing down, every action scene. There's only 8 minutes in between each action scene
Yeah,
every
I
time,
know,
and
dude. Yeah,
I mean, it is just nonstop from start to finish. And I do remember the Temple of Doom more. I don't know why. Maybe that
oh
was
really?
on TV more or HBO more when I was growing up. But it's important to
Dude,
note Lawrence Kasdan was not a writer on that film, and it was kind of more slapstick and kind of trying to be more funny as opposed to action packed. And then they brought it home with the third installment, The Last Crusade.
yeah, Temple of Doom is very dark, dude. For a
Yeah, they're like
PG,
killing.
it's whipping kids and yeah, it's just freaking
Yeah,
yeah. It's I think
and then it's important to note one of the we just talked about one of the best villains ever, Alan Rickman. But as like a whole of bad guys you can go against in movies, who doesn't want fucking Nazis to have their faces melted off? Like,
yeah, it's classic, dude.
it's just, I mean, yeah, it's great, especially Steven Spielberg being a Jew. Like, so yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that was great too. As soon as the Nazis come in the movie, it's like, oh yeah, they're going down.
yeah, yeah.
Great villains.
Mhm, mhm,
My final movie I chose for this podcast, Lethal Weapon,
mhm.
came out 1987, directed by Richard Donner, a director of your my go-to films every time we hook up, Maverick. He
Yes,
also directed Lethal Weapon 2, 3, and 4.
yes,
And then directed The Goonies along with Spielberg, who we just mentioned. And I
yep,
believe his directorial debut was the original Omen.
yes, it was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
noted that too, and yeah,
interesting
and then
to go
another one of
from
his
something.
movies.
yeah, to
No,
go from something like The Omen and then have, a comedy action buddy cop movie that goes into a franchise is an incredible arc to somebody's career. And then, like I said, director of Maverick, which is where I was introduced to Richard Donner, I think, very first. Just
yeah,
a classic go-to movie for the listeners who don't know Zach and I personally. Just we quote that movie nonstop. It's such a. I think we were just sending quotes earlier this week back and
we
forth
did.
about it. I mean, for the longest time when Zach and I weren't hanging out, we would just randomly send each other Maverick quotes, and that's kind of how we kept in touch there for a few
Yeah,
years.
yeah, that's true, dude. But yeah, I'm laughing just thinking
Lethal,
about it, dude.
yeah, had kind of a lousy year. This
That's where I
movie
got the bike.
was written by Shane Black, who also wrote 2, 3, and 4, Lethal Weapon, Last Boy Scout, Last Action Hero, Iron
Hmm.
Man 3, Nice Guys, and then one of my personal favorite go-to movies for dialogue and entertainment, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes, yes, we both love that movie, dude.
Love that movie. It is. I introduced it to an ex-girlfriend of mine a couple years ago, and it's become one of her favorite movies. Shane Black, just an incredible movie writer, screenplay guy, and important to note as well, Lethal Weapon was a lot darker originally in his first screenplay for the movie, and Richard Donner kind of reeled him back in to say, "Hey, let's kind of make this more of a broader audience than
Yeah, yeah,
people who just want to see people die, do cocaine, and get killed by missile launchers." This movie, Lethal Weapon, actually just had one Oscar nomination that year for Best Sound and did not come away with the win. Um,
yeah, that's right.
Starring Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and Gary Busey, two newly appointed LA cops, newly appointed partner LA cops, Riggs and Murtaugh, work together through their differences while they bring down a crew of drug dealers. And from that synopsis, it's like, yeah, whatever. We've seen that movie before, but
Yeah,
it launched an action franchise of 4 movies and a TV show. It is buddy cop movie at its ultimate, or at its prime, like the tip top of buddy cop movies. And, just kind of speckled funny scenes in between all the action sequences. And I think
yeah.
Mel Gibson plays crazy very well. So just
Well, dude,
entertaining with his bulging eyes in some scenes, and he just acting like a madman. He plays the character very well of someone who may or may not be teetering on taking his own life. So
yeah, a performance of anger, humor, and deep depression.
yeah,
Star. I mean, dude, you can kind of see he was going to be a superstar someday because
definitely.
he brings it in that movie.
Yeah, and
Man,
then,
I'm just
it's just great how they pair the two together. I mean, in the first scene they're in together, he Mel Gibson's character just kind of sitting by the water cooler or something, and he's got his gun on his hip, and Danny Glover's like gun, and
he's
Mel
like
Gibson's
looking
like looking
relish.
around like where, and then just kind of throws Danny Glover to the ground. Like,
Oh, I'm too
yeah,
old for this shit.
this is setting us up to be something else when your partner thinks that you're a bad guy.
Yeah, because I mean they
And
had
Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars. Just
nice, nice.
entertaining, nonstop. Another one of his forearm bruising movies, and obviously launched an action franchise that made $1 bazillion.
Yeah, I mean you had 48
Bring
hours
us
had
home,
come
Zach.
out. I was just going to mention that you 48 hours had come out
Yeah,
not
prior.
too prior to this, but I mean Gibson and Glover's chemistry I feel is a lot better. But and then of course you add in Eric Clapton's guitar that goes
Yeah,
into the score. Freaking loved it.
yeah.
Yeah, I will bring it home. Another dude,
Call
I
back to
just thought,
Maverick on that
yeah,
too.
I was just gonna say that, dude. No, no, can't be.
Richard Donner, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover. You got to bring that guitar in, and I'm
I'm
getting
too
too
old
old
for
for
this
this
shit.
shit. It's great.
Oh shit,
Another
man.
reason why
Yeah,
we love the movie Maverick.
yes, yes. All right, man. The last movie out of our 10 is Terminator 2: Judgment Day, 1991, written and directed by James Cameron, who has films ranked at the number 2 and number 3 highest grossing films of all time. Titanic and Aviator, with also a writing credit, went to William Wisher as well. It's starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, and Robert Patrick as the T-1000. Synopsis is: a cyborg identical to the one who failed to kill Sarah Connor must now protect her 10-year-old son John from an even more advanced and powerful cyborg. This was, as soon as we were doing action, this was the first movie that popped into my mind, dude. Like, this to me is the apex mountain of action movies, I think. But
Definitely.
hey, that's my opinion. People are gonna have
Nope.
other opinions, but
Yeah. No, first thing, I was disappointed when we first exchanged our movies. For those who don't know, we don't like to pick a movie for each of us. We like to get a top 10. So when Zach gave me his top 5, or the 5 movies that he was going to have, and I saw T2, first thought I was like, damn it,
damn.
damn it. That was going to be mine. I mean, as it should be for everybody who is thinking about action movies. If T2 is not on your list, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, dude. It'll get covered again. This is a movie that's gonna pop up again during the pods, so
Yeah.
we don't have to dig
Especially,
too. No, go ahead, buddy.
well, especially if we do, sequel,
Mm-hmm.
best sequels of all time, best Arnold
Yeah,
movies of all time, best
yeah,
sci-fi movies of all. I mean, it's just you go on and on, and best Cameron movies of all time. It's going to be in the top 5 in almost every category we do.
yeah, for sure. All right, dude. Here's a couple. I mean, Terminator 2 was released to. It was kind of a general acclaim. The reviews mainly focused on the state of the art physical and special effects and makeup effects too,
Mm-hmm.
which were roundly praised as revolutionary and spectacular.
Yeah.
Particularly those calling the T-1000 a technological wonder. But yeah,
Well,
that's we already. Go ahead.
and the sequel was supposed to come out a lot sooner than it did, but they just didn't have the technology to do what was in Cameron's mind and what he saw for the film. So it was, they had to delay a little bit so they could actually do the practical effects and the sci-fi or the special effects that they wanted to do for the movie. And also important to know, I think James Cameron had already married and divorced Linda Hamilton at this
Hamilton,
point.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And
But
kind of a troubled production. James Cameron is long known for being difficult to work for. And I
mhm.
think this was kind of the start of that. In some of the research, I found out that people on his cast and crew during the filming and shooting scenes and everything, they wore shirts that said Terminator 3, not with me. Just openly protesting James Cameron as they're walking by him on the set daily. So interesting to note that. And then out of it comes arguably one of the best action movies of all time.
yeah, and I know he's a perfectionist, so it can. I don't know if you've ever worked with a perfectionist before, but it can kind of fucking suck. So,
Yeah, I'm
but
more type 2, go with the flow.
yeah, yeah, me too, me too. So
Or type B person, I think is what they call that.
pretty laid
Yeah, but
back.
just goddamn, so entertaining. Such an, and then Edward Furlong wasn't even an actor. Um, I think James Cameron saw him like hanging out outside a boys club or something like that. And it was just like, hey, you have a look about you. You ever want to act? And then during the filming, he started to mature and grow because he's supposed to be playing a 10-year-old and he was 13. So his voice was cracking. He was getting taller as the movie production was going on. So they kind of had to shoot some scenes with him. I think I read once he was like standing in a hole next to Linda Hamilton because earlier in the movie he's shorter than her,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then by the time they were finishing some of the last scenes, he was taller. So they kind of had to work around that. But yeah, and then Edward Furlong goes down in our Hall of Fame for great movies that we talk about. And shoot, oh wow, why can't I think of the Kiss movie?
Oh, Detroit Rock City, bro.
Detroit Rock City. Yeah, definitely. Another one, which when I was doing the notes, I wrote down that would be another, you know, podcast that you and I could just do about movies that we love. Maverick, and I think Detroit Rock City would fall on that list as well.
Yeah, yes it would. Yes it would. That, and we were both big American History X fans too. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Let's save that. Let's save
yeah,
our
we
thoughts
will.
on that
We
right
will.
now.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Well,
That'll come up.
crap.
Edward Norton Pod or something.
Yeah. What
Okay. Let's unless you got any more about T2, let's dive into these rankings.
No, let's get going, dude.
Okay.
We're
I think
we're
you started last time with your 910, so I'll get mine out of the way, and I think this is going to be a good portion of the pod here. Number 10, French Connection. Number 9, Mad Max. So let me have it.
Well, first of all, for the French Connection, as we just mentioned, pioneered a completely different way of not only filming movies in general, but filming car chases. And
Yeah.
you know how I always say there's something to be said about being first, and not just that, but we have other cop movies on this list that I feel are
Yeah.
far
Lesser.
they're lesser than
Yeah.
French Connection.
If we were doing a cop movie, a detective, a cat and mouse and investigation type movie category, I would probably put it on a little higher. But like I mentioned to you throughout the week, not a lot of action. And this is an action ranking pod. The chase scene, phenomenal, very much action packed, and it goes on for like 15 minutes, and it's great. I can see how it pioneered chase scenes, moving forward in cinema. And I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie; it's a great movie, but there's not a ton of action happening. The first scene, where they're chasing the suspect down, and then it's a lot of cat and mouse and suspension, and following this guy, and who is this guy, how is he connected to the smugglers and the heroin. And that was a great movie. I hadn't watched it in a while. I bought it on DVD years and years ago and hadn't watched it since, and I thought it was a phenomenal movie. But if we're going by action, I'm putting it at the bottom.
Yeah, see, I ranked mine in the opposite. I literally ranked mine in the opposite direction. I went with the quality of movie, and in the end, like as I said, in the French Connection, the good guys and the bad guys are often in the same scene, and that adds a level of suspense and
This is not a
adrenaline.
suspension pod, Zach.
But I mean, I'm just saying that and you're talking about it's not a chase. Do they have to be running for it to be a chase? Because I mean, if you're following somebody, it's not a chase per se, but that's also a
Okay.
level of the pace. And I do
Right.
agree with you. No, and I came into this pod knowing that this is where you were going to have it, and I
Yeah.
didn't. And I was like, okay, this is this is where he's going to fucking have it. So
Yeah.
try to
Well,
compromise with him and
and I'll
say,
say,
okay,
I will say, yes, the bad guys and good guys are in almost all the scenes together, and they are chasing them. And just because they're not running doesn't mean it's not a chase. But again, this is not a chase ranking pod. This is an action, and to me, action is going, getting. You're enthralled. You're not that I wasn't enthralled, but you know, get your
well,
heart pumping, and
oh,
again, it's
dude,
suspenseful. So
there's
my heart
there's
was like,
there's heart
okay, where's
pumping.
this
Wait,
going? I
dude, I
wouldn't
mean,
define chasing. I wouldn't say walking. I wouldn't say briskly walking is action.
yeah, I mean,
And
like
based
I
on
said, it's a
those, now if we were doing other categories, this would be ranked higher. It is a great movie, Academy Award
well,
winning movie. Gene
yeah,
Hackman plays
it's
Popeye.
it's it's the only movie on our list that's a Best Picture winner, and it's kind of odd, like I said, that you
Sure.
have it, that you didn't put that in, like between how unique the film was shot and the critical and commercial
Oh,
success.
yeah, very
I'm not
unique.
saying that
Loved it.
that's yeah, but I mean, this is my compromise. Hear me out, brother. out of the, because how many cop movies do we have? 3? Is there 3 of them?
I mean, Black Hawk Down, military, so not cop.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Speed, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard,
I don't
so
know if I
4.
would put Die Hard in, because I mean I understand he's a cop, but
He's a cop.
yeah, but I don't
T-1000's
know
a
if he
cop.
would. That's true too. Yeah, I mean he killed a cop, but
Yeah, exactly. He became a cop.
yeah, he became a cop. He became a
He's
lot
playing
of
a cop
shit, but
on screen.
yeah. But I don't know. My compromise, as I was mentally preparing for this moment, was I think Speed, out of all the movies on our list, is the corniest, I guess, and that's why I had it at 10. It wasn't, dude. I enjoyed it, man. I'm not saying that it's a bad movie or anything. I just think that, as you were saying, I don't know if the buses go up to 50 in LA, and you can
No,
obviously, and then it's trying to cross a freaking uh no, it's not a bridge. There's just a
no.
freaking,
There's a
there's
hole. It's
construction.
not finished.
It's not finished. Yeah, and it's
I
certain
guess they
things like
fell
that,
behind.
and it's going through hangars, airplane hangars, and running
Totally.
into airplanes, and it's just, I mean, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock were really young at the time, so their performances weren't great. They weren't at their best, and Dennis Hopper overacted the fuck out of his character. So
Definitely.
that's why I had Speed at 10, and I
And
actually
this
had,
is something. Would you have a 9?
yeah, dude. And I
Well,
was gonna
well.
mention to you that my first 4 are all interchangeable, so I didn't want you to say like,
Okay.
no, dude, you can't put Speed at 10. This is just where I had it. I was willing to listen to you, but until you had
Sure.
French Connection at 10, and I was like, it just shows how fucked up you are. But
Yeah. But again, this is something that you and I are gonna
we'll
disagree
bicker about it
and
every
debate
week. Yeah.
about every single pod. Is it? Are we doing the better movies, the best made movies, or the ones that we enjoy? And especially in this, action. Speed is nonstop action. Now, I
Yeah,
didn't
but
have it ranked number 1 or even in my top 5, but
okay. Because my compromise was I had Lethal Weapon at 8. And so I was like, all right, if he has it at 10, I can probably convince him to catapult it to 7 or 8 and put Lethal Weapon and Speed at 10 and 9.
Lethal Weapon, I had a little higher after revising.
Oh, where'd you have?
I originally had it at 9
Okay.
because it is a kind of a buddy cop movie. There's funny scenes speckled in, a lot of darkness,
Mm-hmm.
and then I eventually moved it up to 6 after
Okay.
rewatching them all and this is action packed. I mean, the movie starts out with a lady doing a line of coke and then jumping off
Mm-hmm.
a 30-story building and falling on the car. And then boom, we're off, and it is a lot of action packed. But before we move on, I do want to mention in my notes watching French Connection, I wrote 34 minutes in, still no action scene. 1 hour in, still no action scene.
Oh, I mean, shit.
Now, are
He
they
was.
chasing? Are they chasing? Are they cat and mousing? Yes, but to me, an action scene has to be higher adrenaline and somebody shooting or jumping off or fast cars, and then the chase scene phenomenal. But I would say that's really only the one action scene in the whole movie, and I'm sure.
I mean, it's based on a true story, dude. I mean, they don't, that shit. That's what I'm getting at. Is that bullshit doesn't happen, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Was like, at least it's it. I mean, obviously they didn't. It's dramatized, but still,
Sure.
they're yeah. I'm kind of
Okay.
at a loss
All
for
right. So
words, I guess.
where are we compromising?
Well, you already had Lethal Weapon at 9 initially, which I know that you revised your
Initially.
list, and yeah. So,
Yep.
well, where did you have Speed at?
Initially. So for those who don't know, I rank all these movies before I rewatch them all, and then I revise the ranking. Where did you said where did I have Speed?
Yeah.
Originally, I had it at 8, and then I moved it up to 7.
Okay. No,
So I'm okay. I'm okay.
you're okay. You're okay with having speed at 10, weapon at 9.
Speed at 10,
Yeah,
and
not
then
not not
French
not have
Connection
you.
at 8.
Yeah.
Not disparage French Connection to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just have to. I get what you're saying. That's why I was kind of like, okay, dude, I'm not gonna, because I had French Connection at number 2. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
dude, it's a great movie,
Well,
dude. But I got where you were coming
I'm
from
not
too.
debating
So
that. But then again, I have to tell the listeners, or our future listeners, I originally wanted to have Heat and Fugitive on my action list, and you said there aren't a lot of action.
well, not for a 2 hour and 45 minute movie, there isn't. Like I said,
Okay.
my biggest issue with
Fugitive's
Heat
like
was that.
215, 220.
Well, see, I told you, man. I sent that in that text. I told you, like, you could have put Fugitive on the list. I had never seen Fugitive, and I told you I hadn't seen it. I asked you, what's it more like, this movie or Catch Me If You Can? And I, I don't think you responded to it because I think I'd already sent a previous text. I don't know if you saw that text or not, but
Yeah.
yeah, not having the Fugitive on there, that's not on me, bro. I
Nope.
love you, but it's not on
It'll
me.
come up.
Yeah,
It'll come up in later movies
I'm sure it
or
will.
later
Yeah.
podcasts.
So yeah,
Okay,
okay,
so
we got
if you
speed at
had,
10, lethal
and
weapon
then
at 9.
originally you had what at 9?
Oh, I had the Bourne Identity. But like I said, those movies, I like something different about each one of them, so I didn't. I could have easily put that at 7 or something. I was going to kind of leave it up for debate without fighting too hard on where it went on our list.
Well, I mean, I had Born at 7,
Okay, you want to just put it at 7 then?
so it'll be at 7.
Yeah.
All right. So recapping all of our convoluted talking and ranking so far, we are agreed upon and compromising. Number 10, Speed. Number 9, Lethal Weapon. Number 8, The French Connection. And number 7, The Bourne Identity.
That sounds good so far.
Yeah. So, bringing it out at number 6, then, maybe controversial. I'm sorry, controversial. But I'm saying Mission Impossible.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I
Hmm.
know, and I'm sure you had that ranked a little lower.
I actually had it higher. I had it at 5.
Oh wow, okay. Well, we're not too far off then.
No. What did you have at 5 then?
See, I went back and forth between Speed, Bourne, and Mission Impossible. Kind of
Hmm.
the five, 6, 7, which
Yeah,
process of
I put.
elimination, you could see that. Then I had Black Hawk Down at 8.
Okay. Yeah, I had Black Hawk down at 6.
Okay, so how about we say Black Hawk Down 6, Mission Impossible 5.
Okay, that works. I'm good with that.
Okay. Um, I just rewatched Black Hawk Down. What day were we supposed to do it? Last week, Thursday. So I'd
Yeah,
watched it the
Thursday.
night before, and man, I don't think I had watched it since we were in high school. I don't think,
Yeah.
and it was a big deal when it came out. Just a who's who of that guys. I mean,
Yeah,
right from the start. I mean, within the first couple of minutes, it's like you got Ewan McGregor, you got
yeah.
I can't
Josh
think.
Hartnett. Yeah, I think he's the first man on the scene. It's Josh Hartnett. I mean,
It
yeah,
just seems for the first 15, 20 minutes, they're just introducing all these new characters, and you're like, oh, he's in this. Oh, he's in this. Oh my God, he's in this. I mean,
yeah,
seriously, the first 30 minutes, it's pretty much all character building and storytelling. The first 30 minutes to kind of set you up for the next hour 45 when they just go into pretty much one big, long, extended action scene.
Yeah, I think I wrote down about 75% of the movie is combat, which I'm going to point out that the
Yes, I mean once they
per the veterans who fought in the battle, it's a pretty accurate depiction of what happened that day. And it's on a personal note, it's the movie that actually played a big part in my decision to join the military. That and the September 11th attacks. But yeah,
well,
it's
and
just
I have written down, I have written down. I can't speak to military life, and this was within like that first 30 minutes when they, you see all the different kind of military personnel they have. A jokester and a guy who's too serious, and a loner, and I've never been in the military, and I don't know what kind of brotherhood you form. And I literally wrote down an arrow and then Zach.
yeah. I mean, it's a
So I'm sure you can speak to it a lot more than I can.
yeah. I mean, it's a pretty accurate. You see a bunch of dudes hanging around in a. It looks like just an aircraft
A hangar
hangar.
or
I mean,
something.
that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's you just part of being a veteran is how to deal with boredom, and so you shoot the shit a lot, and you freaking. But then when that alarm gets, not to say that it's like fired, like a being a firefighter or nothing, but when that alarm gets sound, you get
Yeah.
that game face on and freaking no more fucking around and shit. But
Yep.
yeah, I was never in that type of combat. I was just a helicopter mechanic, dude. So, but the I knew a lot of
I was just working
guys.
on helicopters.
Yeah, yeah. The special ops aviation unit is the 160th, and I knew a bunch of guys that were a part of 160th. Not at that time, but they were stationed at they were a part of 160th. I didn't know with this going public, I didn't know how much I was supposed to talk about it actually, so I'll just
Yeah.
keep
Well,
the rest to myself, I guess.
probably good. We don't want you going anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I just wrote in that first 30 minutes, like I said, just so much character building, storytelling, just the short little scene. It's not even a scene. It's, just a few seconds or something, but, where they're going through the food line and the guy's doing the impersonations of one of the sergeants, and, they kind of pan around in the hangar to kind of show each individual person, a sympathizer, the
hmm
philosopher, the warrior who's all about, let's go, I can't wait. And I thought it was really good foreshadowing at a couple of different points in that first 30 minutes too, especially when they're gearing up to go, and the new guy to combat. I can't remember who that was.
I mean, Orlando Bloom plays the character. His name's Blackburn in the movie, but Orlando Bloom's the actor, and I can tell you that if he's fresh out of training, that's exactly how you are. Fresh out of boot camp, AIT,
Yeah,
you have this I'm fucking
I want to go.
invincible.
I
I'm
want
not
to.
scared of
Yep.
nothing, dude. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
He
ready to
plays it
kill the
very
enemy.
well. Yeah.
Well, then it's like, they're showing everybody starting to gear up, and one of the guys is packing something in his pack, and the guy's like, "You're not going to need that. This is
Yeah.
going to be quick." And then he picks something else up. He's like, "You're not going to need that either." And I'm like, "Oh, that's foreshadowing right there. They're going to need that shit."
And then, dude, yeah, and later on, he's like, "No, dude, I didn't bring it because don't worry about it. We'll be back in a half hour." And then it was, "I
Yeah,
wasn't talking
exactly.
to you."
Yep.
Tom
And
Hardy's actually that dude, man.
I didn't end up going back and doing the research for like who did the music or anything, but there were a couple of guitar riffs every now and again throughout the movie that really
Yeah.
reminded me of Three Kings.
Oh shit. I know Hans Zimmer
Yeah.
did the score,
Okay.
but
Well, it's just
yeah,
like da, 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 and it's just like, oh man, it makes me want to watch Three Kings too.
yeah, that'd be a good double feature, I'd say.
Yeah,
Dude,
and
I
then
haven't seen that movie in so long, dude.
Sizemore three
Fuck.
years after doing Saving Private Ryan, it's like, oh,
hmm
he's still got that military part in him.
Yeah, and he
Um,
does a good job too, dude.
and then another thing I wanted to ask real quick. I know we're spending a lot of time on Black Hawk Down here, even though we only have it ranked at 6 or 7 or wherever we have it. Um,
Yeah,
well, I have right next to this question I want to ask you, but I have Smalls and Tom Hardy written. So it's like the
yeah,
guy from
yeah.
Smalls and Sandlot and Tom Hardy in there. It's just like, I mean, the list of actors that were in this movie is just
hmm
absolutely incredible.
Well,
And then I have, hour 20 is kind of the first lull in the movie where it's like, it's almost, oh, okay, hour 20 in, we need to let the audience kind of take a breath here. And I think they're like kind of doing some exposition where, they're showing like some of the military leaders walking around and kind of talking about what they're going to do. But living in Vail, Colorado right now, the 10th mountain is kind of a big thing around here. And they mentioned it in the movie at some point, and I have 10th mountain question mark because I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with that? Do you know if that's the same 10th mountain that?
yeah, they used to be stationed out of Fort Drum in New York. My buddy Manny was actually a part of the 10th Mountain Aviation Unit. But yeah, I think the 82nd, which was the division I was in, used to rotate with 10th Mountain out of Afghanistan every other year. They used to swap out every other year, I think. But I'm familiar with the
Hmm,
division, but I don't. I
yeah,
other than a couple of the
because the
guys
10th
I know
mountain,
that got.
and you know,
No, go ahead, dude.
well, and here in Vail, it's a big deal. A lot of things are, 10th mountain division, and there's a 10th mountain whiskey, and a lot of the huts that you camp up to are part of the old 10th mountain like kind of training facilities that were up here. And I'm sure I'm going to have some people who know the history of this a lot better. I went through the museum back when I first moved here, and I know, they kind of made their name in some war. I'm sorry, I can't articulate which one, but they're really known for kind of the mountaineering aspects, and something dramatic happened. Again, I'm sure I'm going to get shit for this because I live here in Vail, because it's a big part of the Vail, community and history. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Black Hawk Down. I'm sitting there, I'm just totally into the movie, and they just mentioned, oh yeah, the 10th Mountain Division is coming. And I'm like, oh shit, I know that. Like here in Vail,
Yeah,
that's kind of a big deal. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know the history of the 10th Mountain very well. Shit, I barely know the 82nd history well.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'll
So,
follow up with this in later. I'll go to the museum tomorrow, and I'll come back
see,
on it next week and be like, hey,
I'm surprised we didn't do that while I was there. I would have freaking loved to see that, dude.
yeah, no, it's a free museum too. It's not very big, but it just
Yeah,
goes through all the
they're not.
history of it and why it's so important to this community. So I'll follow up in later pods for it next week. We'll do a little sidebar at the beginning,
Okay, yeah.
update everybody. So then at 5, Mission Impossible. Um, I'm kind of surprised that you had it so high, honestly.
Well, one of the things, and we're both rewatchable fans from
Hmm.
the Ringer podcast network, but
Yep.
I actually had to stop listening to it because I was recognizing that they were sharing the similar opinion I was. I was like, nope, nope, nope,
Oh, is that
that's
right?
mine, that's mine. Nope,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I didn't want to hear it and be like, oh,
No vocal
they got it from the
plagiarism going on here.
rewatchables. No, no,
Yeah.
because I even wrote down in my notes that De Palma is at his best when
Oh yeah.
he's got the budget, good actors,
Yeah.
and
Great story.
in the top notch screenplay. Because I think of what Robert Town was involved with the script, Steven Zalian was, and like David Culp, I think. I mean, dude, it was
David Kep. Yep.
yeah, Kep, that's what it is. But yeah, I mean, all those guys. I don't know if Kep is a Oscar winner, but the other two are, and I think when De Palma has a producer or studio kind of pull them back a little bit and not allow them to have that final cut and maybe construct it a little bit differently,
Yeah.
I think that's when De Palma makes his best movies.
His
Like
better
I think,
movies.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
between Mission Impossible and he did the same thing with The Untouchables because he had Costner, Connery, Garcia, freaking Robert De Niro, and then David Mamet wrote that script. And I still think that that's one of De Palma's best movies is The Untouchables. And I think that's why I like this movie so much because he puts he puts his own spin on it and his because I one of the reasons we mentioned this in our on a practice pod, he carried Blowout to make the movie that it was, in my opinion. It
Yeah.
had a lot of
For sure.
weak parts, but it's him and Travolta that make
Yep.
that movie. And I think
Yeah.
with a
It's
movie
the
like Mission,
camera angles. It's the
yeah, exactly, dude. And it's kind of like it
style of
Mission,
shooting.
yeah, Mission Impossible. Other than the special effects and the train sequence. That's kind of an iconic sequence too, actually.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
between that, the way he shot the Langley heist, and then
Yep.
even the restaurant where he blows up the tank. Like I love that scene. I love
Oh
how
yeah, where he pushes the gum together.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just,
I
I
just
mean, he's shooting looking up at Tom Cruise, and it's
exactly.
angled, and then it
Yep.
shows the guy he's talking to, his superior, and it's like, oh yeah, when they're like running down that first scene, which is so disorienting because you just don't know. You think you're on this mission with these guys, and then shit goes sideways real quick, and then in the background, the waiter's looking at the lady, and then there's the drunk couple,
Right.
and
hmm
you rewatch it and it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, these are kind of all operating in the background.
hmm
And then, for that kind of back and forth at the restaurant scene to kind of come to a head when he red light green lights it, is yeah, it was awesome. And I have written down, back to a little bit about the writing and everything. One of the first notes I had is directed by Brian De Palma, music
hmm
by Danny Elfman,
Yeah.
written in
I
part by Robert Towne, and then I wrote dot dot dot. I mean, come on,
yeah. Come on.
like you get those four guys, and then with Tom Cruise and John Voight doing his, it just yeah, it could not have been a smash hit, and it's
Yeah.
just yeah, that first scene. Now, granted, you and I are born in the '80s, so it's a lot of people older than us had seen these sort of things happen in movies, and I'm sure it wasn't brand new to them. But the stuff with he takes off the mask, and it's like, oh, that was him. The glasses and the gum, and you spraying the hairspray on the guy, and then she
hmm
turns on the little thing in the glasses so she could see him. It's just like, man, that so many cool things are happening within
Yeah.
our first couple of minutes. It's yeah, it's awesome. And I, I,
Shit.
I would have thought you had it. I thought you would have had it a little bit down further. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm
further.
happy that
Yeah.
we have it at 5.
hmm Yeah, because I mean, the way we're talking about it right now, it kind of sounds like it should be like number 2 or 3. But
Yeah, I know. It's
I mean,
just
I'm good with it at 5. But yeah, that's I mean, because obviously that's
yeah,
where
and
I
it. I
had
mean,
it.
there's a
So I
lot
mean,
going on, and it and now that it's been everybody knows about Mission Impossible and how exciting it is and everything. But if you do rewatch, like when I was revisiting it, it's like that first 30 minutes, 45 minutes, yeah, it's entertaining. But if you were to like pause and then somebody was like, "Okay, what's happening in the movie?" I don't think if for the first time seeing it, I don't think you could really explain to somebody what is really happening in that first 40 minutes. There's just so much going on, and the double crossing, the triple crossing,
hmm
and there's a mole, and we thought it was you, and you're the only one alive, and
yeah,
on and on. Like I honestly don't think anybody could really describe it to somebody or articulate exactly what was happening. So I think, and that's kind of what Roger said. It's just such a convoluted plot line where, yeah, it's entertaining. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, but what in the world is going on?
yeah,
And I actually, I mean, I think in my very first one, I had it at 3, and then I revised and brought it down so to 4. But yeah, I think yeah, Mission Impossible at 5, and let's discuss these next 4, and then maybe we can say, hey, maybe we're wrong. Mission Impossible does belong a little higher.
yeah, yeah. I mean, as we're talking, I mean, we're both getting excited about it. Who knows? We
Yeah,
might
exactly. There's a lot to
redo
talk
it.
about there, and then we could talk about the subsequent umpteen hundred other sequels to it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
okay, so at 4, then I'm assuming you had Mad Max.
No, I had Mad Max at 7. Yeah,
Oh,
I had. We skipped over because once we figured out it would be Speed, Lethal Weapon, and French Connection, we kind of skipped over my number 7 rank, which that was Mad Max.
okay. Well, I had it at 9, so we're
Oh
gonna have to
wow.
So we're gonna have to move everything up a notch then. Now, where do we want? If you had a 7, I had it a 9. Ipso facto, I think it falls right into 8.
Okay, so do we want to move French Connection to 7 then? And like you said,
Yeah.
just move everything up.
Yep.
Okay, that works
7,
for me.
6,
French Connection needs to
5.
be
Yeah.
farther up anyway, so.
So boom. So yeah, Mission Impossible at 4,
I'm okay with it, dude.
and I'm liking it, and I mean we're down to 3 of the best action movies of all time, and I think 2 of them are kind of interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had Die Hard at 3.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, I think our top 3 are going to align pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, because
I mean,
I had T2 at 4, so.
oh,
Yeah.
well, it's interesting because when you're introducing it, you said it's the apex of action movies of all time.
Yeah, it's just because remember that was
You did
when
say that.
I did. No, I'll have to edit
That's
out.
why
So no,
I
I'll have
thought
to edit. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I thought it kind of tipped me off to where you were going with it. I thought when I heard you say that, I'm like, oh, so he's definitely got T2 at number 1 then.
No, I actually had it at 4 because once you had. Because remember, I initially didn't have the French Connection on my list, and it wasn't until I can't
That's
remember.
true.
I don't know. I
That
don't
was a
know
late
why
add-on.
yeah. It was a late add-on, and then when you had Die Hard on yours, I was like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't think there's really anything wrong with how Die Hard was made. I love what
Dude,
McTiernan did to it, and I love Willis and Rickman, and I love that. I mean, that was one of the movies
it's
that made me fall in love with movies. So I mean, I loved
yeah.
Terminator 2 as
I
well,
remember the
but
first time I saw it. I think I watched it like 10 times in a week.
oh yeah, dude,
Just because
it
it's
was
so. I mean, it's so. It's funny, and Alan Rickman, perks of having a classical education, and the whole. I don't know. I saw them on CNN, and
oh yeah,
come out to the coast, have a few drinks, have a few laughs, and it's just like
oh yeah, because
it's
Han is
funny throughout the
yeah.
entire movie.
When he brings up the terrorist group he wants to release, and Han's like Asian dorm. I read about him in Time
Yeah,
magazine.
yeah. Carl's like Asian
Carl, yeah,
dorm.
not Hans. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's like, I saw them on
yeah.
something
I read
magazine or
he
whatever
read
it
about
is.
him in Time magazine. Yeah, because
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. That's what it is.
well, and one of the
And the
things
whole
with
Ellis thing, and he's like, baby.
oh yeah,
And then,
Bobby.
and I kind of thought Gleason kind of added to that kind of comedic part of it. So, when I was reading Rogers' review and it's like, yeah, the deputy chief killed it for me. I'm like, yeah, it could probably have been a little bit better written to where he's not playing just such not a dunce, but everything he says is just completely wrong. So I get where he was saying it that. But at the same time, like his back and forth with, the Reginald Val Johnson character and, it kind of added a little bit more hokey, I guess, and that's what kind of Roger was saying. But I mean, I watch it now and I still enjoy it, And then the Special Agent Johnson, no relation.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
This
Well, and
reminds
then
me of Saigon, eh? And he's like, I
I
was
was
in
in
tenth
junior high.
grade or whatever.
I was in junior high, dick.
Yeah, I was in junior high, asshole. Like,
Well, and
yeah,
and to get back to Gleason when he's like, well, I just think he's a cop just because of the way he talked and how he could spot a fake ID. And he's like, dude, he could be a
yeah,
fucking bartender for all we know.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
But I think one of the reasons I like Die Hard so much, and you mentioned this during the intros, is that Bruce Willis plays John McClane, who's an average dude who gets
yeah.
caught
He's an
into this
everyman.
situation, and you can see throughout the movie he's gonna even after when he freaking shit, what's the brother's name? Not it's Carl's brother.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know
I
what you're
can't
talking about.
I can't remember, dude. I should know it since I freaking seen it 100 times, but I'm spacing right now probably because of the nerves from the pod. But
Hmm.
yeah, even after that fight, dude, he's like beat up, like he's bleeding and
Yeah,
shit. He's not superhero Arnold
no,
Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone or even Gibson after the torture
yeah,
sequence in Lethal Weapon. He doesn't
yeah.
have a
Totally. He
fucking
just
mark on him, dude.
brushes it off and like goes after, and then has like a
Yeah,
MMA fight and fucking Riggs's lawn or Murtaugh's lawn.
yeah, I mean, throughout the movie, he's getting his ass kicked, and it's showing him get his
Yeah,
fucking ass kicked, dude. But he's,
yeah,
like I
because
said, he's the average dude, and you
he's
kind of
just a
try to
New
put
York
yourself
cop.
in his, yeah. you try to put yourself in his shoes, and it's more. I mean, obviously, it's not relatable. Neither one of us has ever saved anybody from a terrorist attack
No,
or anything like
of
that,
course
but
not.
it's entertaining and stuff, and that's kind of why I put it ahead of T2 because of the whole sci-fi. Hey, dude, and I do love Terminator 2. I like the fact that when T2 came out, you didn't know if Arnold was the good guy or the bad guy,
Yeah,
and they dressed him as the evil biker, even though
totally.
you kind of get the hint because he doesn't kill anybody that he's the good guy. But then Robert, the T1000 is the cop, and I like even because I didn't know that at the time. I think Dad let it slip that he was the good guy before I watched it, so I was like, oh, huh, all right, thanks a lot, Pop. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, you know, and we pull a lot from the rewatchables, and I did listen to the rewatchable podcast about T2, and you know they obviously they're a little older than us. Bill Simmons quite a bit older than us, and you know that was a big thing for that generation too. It's like Terminator was such an intense movie, and Schwarzenegger was such a good bad guy, and then for them to bring him in, and then you know kind of wait until the 20-minute mark, or you know I don't know exactly when he comes in the mall, you know where he pulls out the gun out of the rose box, but then it's like, oh fuck, he's the good guy. Like that was
yeah.
that was a really big deal.
Dude, it's just a cool movie, and James Cameron, like, I mean, you can tell he's a perfectionist because even though some of
Hmm.
the stunts are ridiculous, you, you almost believe it. You know what I mean? Which I know
Yeah.
that's what they're supposed to do. I mean, I
Well, it's
understand
practical
that, but
effects.
yeah, practical
Yeah,
effects, yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of practical effects in that. It's not, you know, and that's one of the reasons, you know, we didn't really talk about Mad Max. But that's one of the reasons I had it so far down is, you know, within the first 10 minutes of that movie, the only thing I could think of is like, Jesus, this is just all CGI. And I know that doesn't
yeah,
take away from action that's happening on the screen, but it takes me personally out of the movie. Just be like, that's so fake. Everything here is fake. And
yeah,
it just, you know, almost every scene of that there's quite a bit of CGI going on, and you know the guy playing the fucking guitar the entire time was kind of
yeah,
an annoyance for me. It's like
yeah,
what are we doing here? Like this. Now granted, you know, is it all realistic? No, of course not. Is T2 realistic? No, of course not. But that, you know, that was kind of the one of the bugaboos. And then, you know, after watching T2 after Mad Max, it's
hmm
like holy shit, like this is some good special effects and practical effects. When I just watched a movie, there's, you know, and Mad Max is like lauded as, you know, this is what new generation 21st century action should be, and this is how you should use CGI. And I was like, man, T2 is like almost more believable in some of their special effects,
yeah,
and you know that one just like kind of we talked about with Lethal Weapon, where it's just nonstop action the entire time, and you know the one-liners from Arnold, Hasta la Vista, and I'll be back, and
yeah,
you know Joe Morton. I said we talk about him later, so I have to mention him. You know, just his role. He's only in the movie what, like 20, 30 minutes total, not even probably. And it,
hmm
you know, when he's I one of the things I remember from first watching the movie is, you know, his like breathing where and then,
Oh
you know, he lets the
yeah.
thing drop, and it's just like, oh man, that's so harrowing. Like
hmm
that dude is gonna die any second now, and then he dies, and he drops that thing, and then boom, and it's just, yeah, it's such an incredible movie. I could watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah,
in the
for sure.
liquid form, every time the liquid, you know, talking to the mom on the phone, and then they go to him, and he's got the knife for what, you know, his arm turns into a knife, and it's like through her fucking
hmm
eyeball, and
Yeah, dude.
going through the gate in the insane asylum. All that shit was just so fucking cool.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
So it
it's
sounds like
one of the best. One of the best.
between one and two, you know, we have two left: T2 and Raiders. So
To me, Raiders was the clear cut number one in my
I
opinion.
I had it there as well.
Okay, okay. That's I mean, this film, almost every scene, even sometimes cuts, has a bit of thrills, chills, suspense, or action. And of course,
Hmm.
Spielberg constructs he constructs it in his usual brilliant storytelling style, like the mixes of colors and lighting, and like I said, the editing, special effects, and then of course you add the iconic John Williams score, and you also can't forget
Yeah.
Harrison Ford is. I mean, this was obviously before Die Hard, but he's a very flawed and human action hero. I mean,
Yeah, he's
it,
a fucking professor.
yeah, dude. I mean, you see in the boat when he's like after the chase sequence where on the trucks and he's on the boat and she's trying to kiss him and he's like, no, 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 don't touch me. Like that's I have a feeling that's how everybody would be after something like that. So
But then at the same time, I'm like, how do you not like?
no, yeah,
You guys should be banging right now.
yeah,
Like
dude.
she's throwing herself at you to say, "Oh, Indy, you're so." And like, where does it hurt? And she's kissing everywhere he points, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna get it on. And then he falls asleep, and I'm like,
Yeah, he
what is going
does.
on here? But yeah, like I said, I hadn't watched that movie since I was in high school, and revisiting it, it's just like, damn, it's just so fun. And like I said in my notes, it's every like 8 to 10 minutes, there's another action scene, there's another chase, there's another, we got to fight our way out of here, or we got to shoot our way out, and it's just
Yeah, and
nonstop. And it's nothing too gory, and there's
nope,
not a lot of
nope.
profanity, and it's a fun movie. And like we kind of mentioned, I think at the time in '81, it was like, okay, this is what action movies are going to be like forever and ever now. It's going to be molded after Raiders, and that's kind of the gold standard.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it still holds up. It's what, 34 years later?
Oh, dude, I had just as good of a time rewatching it this time as
40.
I did freaking. Yeah, dude, it's old.
Eight,
It's old. This was
81.
another.
Yeah, that's 40. That's 44 years. Like this.
Yeah, this is similar to Die Hard. This was another movie that I would say made me fall in love with movies. Just, I remember. I
Yeah.
think I was 13 or 14 when I saw it too. Oh God, I'm trying to think. Yeah, dude, I want to say that I watched Jaws when I was 10, and that's when I kind of started rewatching that. Because, I mean, we rewatched a lot of movies when we were both like kids, like 5 and 6, but I think I watched Jaws when I was 10 and rewatched the hell out of that one. And I think Raiders was the next movie because I think Dad was like, well, this movie's a Spielberg movie too, and you should watch this one. And as soon as I watched it, I was reenacting it. I was freaking quoting it all the time. I was freaking humming the theme music in my head and shit. It was just, yeah, brings back a lot of
Well,
good
okay.
memories.
I'm going to bring up Spielberg here real quick, but it's funny that you say you were humming the theme, because the day after I watched the movie, I went into work and I was like humming the theme song and like singing it out loud. And my boss comes in, and he's a big movie guy too. He loves James Bond. We'll talk about him later in other pods. But he just like turns around and he's looking at me and he's like, "Did you watch Raiders last night?" And I'm like, "You're goddamn right, I did." Like,
Goddamn.
he's just like, oh, he's just like, "Oh man, it's such a good one, man. That was early '80s." Those, and he's an older guy. I think he's like in his 60s, and
Mm-hmm.
he just yeah, it was awesome. But when he said that a little bit ago about you watch Jaws and you watch this, it kind of sounds like Steven Spielberg might be one of your favorite directors of all time, eh?
Yeah, he's one of them. I'd put him in. Well, I mean, easily top 10. But I
Well,
think my dad asked me for a list one time of who I thought the greatest directors of all time were, and I think I don't know. I think Spielberg was like at 7 or something, but maybe
and
higher
that
than
goes
that.
back
But
to I think that goes back to our uh, I don't know what we're gonna have to name it something, but our continuous argument of, because I remember back when you kind of had this egg of an idea in your brain about, hey, we should do a podcast. You're asking me what are your top favorite 50 movies of all time, and it started back then. It's like, okay, is it my favorite movies or the best movies? And you know, you kind of think that's the same thing. And I'm on the other end where just because I think a movie is great doesn't mean it's one of my favorites and one that I enjoy. So that'll continue to be an argument between us the whole time. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think well, and the reason I mention that is because yeah, you say Spielberg is like top 7 or it was 7 in your top 10, but at the same time, I mean, how many movies is it? You know, I think we've already mentioned Steven Spielberg 5 or 6 times in the few podcasts that we've recorded. And it's like, and he's not
he's
my
gonna.
favorite director either. You know, it's
Yeah,
just like,
no, he's going to be brought up again in a couple weeks. So
oh yeah, yeah. I don't think he's done any Denzels.
no, he hasn't. But speaking of that, do you want to go through? Is it time to go through the whole 10? Review
Yeah,
the 10 for the
let's wrap
audience.
this up, and then we'll give the listeners a clue. I just did for what we're going to be doing next, but yeah. So to wrap things up here, Zach and I understand this is not going to be favorable for everybody who listens and everybody who is a fan of action movies, but for our top 10, this is what we've agreed upon. Coming in at the bottom, Speed, which is debatable still, but we'll keep it there. Lethal Weapon at number 9, which is going to fall much higher on a different podcast later. Number 8, Mad Max Fury Road. Number 7, The French Connection. 6, The Bourne Identity. 5, Black Hawk Down. Number 4, Mission Impossible. And the top 3, Die Hard with the bronze, Terminator 2 with the silver, and our favorite action movie of all time, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I think a pretty goddamn good list, man.
I think so. I mean, you like you said, you think Speed should be higher. I think French Connection should be higher, but that's all right.
Yep, yep.
It's okay.
This is why we're doing this here. It's all about
Exactly.
compromise in the world, especially
Hmm.
between friends.
Right.
For our listeners, if you want to be excited about what we're going to be releasing next, the category that Zach has picked for us, again, because he is our producer, I think he has like 50 different categories for us to go through.
And counting.
Next on the list are our favorite and best Denzel Washington movies. And I think people are going to be pretty surprised.
I have kind of a hot take that we'll talk about. Uh,
Yeah, Zach's going to have a lot of hot takes next week. I have a feeling. We'll get more into that next week or the next hour if you're binge listening to these episodes. Thank you again for everybody listening. As usual, please look us up and follow us on social media. Right now, we are only on Facebook. We are the Average Jives. That is average spelled usual way, Jives. Give us a like and follow, and someday we might actually spread our horizons and get to Instagram, X, and the Snap face or whatever that is.
yeah.
Thanks, Zach, for putting together the category and for thinking of this pod as something that we could do with our time. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you guys.
Wrap. It's a wrap. Come back tomorrow.
Harry,
Fuck.